Hi everyone, this is Miss Moriarty and I'm here to discuss with us topic 2.2, which is all about ecosystem services. So remember at this point in Unit 2, we've now discussed the importance of biodiversity as well as what it is in an ecosystem. It is biodiversity or the variety of life that we know can help to maintain the resiliency and resistance to change for that ecosystem. So it is a key factor that we want to ensure that we maintain within an ecosystem. Because here now in topic 2.2, we're going to focus on the services that ecosystems can provide to us. So any type of good natural resource function that an ecosystem may provide can actually be measurable. We can actually put an economic or financial value to a lot of services that ecosystems provide. And that value can be upwards in the trillions for what an ecosystem can actually provide to the human population. We can break down those services into four categories, which we should have investigated a little bit today towards the end of the period. And that was provisioning services, regulating, cultural, and then supporting services. Provisioning services are ones in where we obtain some sort of good or product from the ecosystem. So that could be things like our food, that could be fibers, that could be medicines, biofuels. Regulating services, however, these are benefits obtained from the regulation, right? The maintaining of an ecosystem process. So, for example, a regulating service might be the ability of autotrophic organisms capturing carbon dioxide in the air. We know as they capture that CO2, that's a greenhouse gas, they cycle that carbon. That would be a form of climate regulation in this case, since now they're taking carbon dioxide, greenhouse gases out of the atmosphere. We can see things like mangrove forests. Remember, that was a marine biome that we talked about, provides a regulating service such as flood prevention in those coastal areas, since the roots of the mangrove trees absorb tremendous amounts of water. Versus a cultural service would be a non-material type benefit. So this would be more along the lines of like educational purposes, recreational things, say like fishing, hunting. Those would all be cultural services that an ecosystem could provide. Then the last one is a supporting service. So these are things that ecosystems do that help to support basically all the other services. So without these, we couldn't have the other three. So in this case, that would be right maintaining biodiversity. That would be the cycling of nutrients like carbon and nitrogen and phosphorus, as well as primary productivity. Right? Remember, that would be photosynthesis over a given amount of time. It's our producers or autotrophs that capture that sunlight, turn that CO2 into carbon compounds, allowing the energy transfer in an ecosystem. Now, we know that human activities are going to disrupt those ecosystems' ability to perform those services. And so when we see human impact on an ecosystem, we can see a decrease in its ecological value as well as its economical value. For example, if we go about clearing a forest ecosystem for maybe agricultural purposes or maybe for developmental purposes, we are now taking a carbon sink away, right? We are now chopping down those trees. We see now more greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, which could potentially lead to greater experience of climate change, which may lead to more maybe storm damage or damage to crops, which we could see both an ecological and economic value decrease. Another example is overfishing. We know that overfishing can lead to the population decline of many fish species and the potential collapse of the fish species overall. As a result, we now don't have that species there any longer. So now we have lowered the biodiversity, and we've also now probably see a loss in fishing jobs, lower fishing sales in the future. So we see an ecological and economic decrease when human activities take place that disrupt ecosystem services. It is our job as the human species to then come up with solutions as to how we might mitigate our impact on those services. All right, everyone, that is it for this video. Just make sure as you watch, you took notes and provide one additional question that you might have about the material covered.